We thought we were going to have just a nice, easy bye week. No big news. And then, well, the weight of the crown. The weight of the crown. It's just heavy as far as being one of the top teams in the NFL because people, all the other teams, college teams included, they want your players. They want your coaches. We'll explain. It's Bo. It's Alex. It's Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Man, is this thing on? Is it on? It's been far too long. It's been a couple days, but when you're doing a daily podcast, having a couple days off feels like forever. But we're not short on big news. Bo Brack, Alex Clancy joining you here. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, whether you're listening on podcast or if you're tuning in to the YouTube channel. If you haven't checked that one out, do it. We're putting up daily content, and man, it's awesome. And thank you for everybody subscribing. Over 1,600, almost 1,700 strong subscribers there on the YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody that checks us out and passes the word along about Locked On Cardinals. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Bob Bracken, at Clancy's Corner. Some insight as far as, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, their availability, and of course, just looking at the NFC West landscape or NFC landscape after week 12 of the NFL season. We'll get into who lost, who won, who's going to be right there competing with the Arizona Cardinals for a top spot. And, the NFC West is getting murkier by the week, which is surprising. I mean, we thought it was a two-team race, and then Sunday happened. Los Angeles Rams did not look strong against the Green Bay Packers, lost another game, and nipping at their heels, surprisingly, a team that the Cardinals have beat twice, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, and that team has the bye. It has the a tiebreaker against the aforementioned Los Angeles Rams. You have to give Kyle Shanahan credit for what they've done over the last month. Aside from playing against the Cardinals, when the Cardinals beat them with Colt McCoy on their home turf, the 49ers look like a team that's going to screw up somebody's year in the playoffs, whether they got the 6 or 7 seed. They should make the playoffs at this point, and they could potentially ruin somebody's year. And you just hope that, if the Cardinals face them a third time, you know how hard it is to beat a team 3 times in one season. But still, the 49ers have to get a little bit of credit, even though they've just scraped over the 500 mark. And the Rams, the antithesis of that, sweet mother, what's going on? Yeah. Now, this is the best part. And we'll talk about Kliff, of course. We'll talk about the landscape of the NFC. But the Rams are a perfect case study to where what's on your roster doesn't equate to wins. And what people say in the preseason doesn't equate to wins until you actually play. And Bo's going to run down the 3 teams that they beat recently among this cavalcade of losses, and it's not great. And you look at the Cardinals sitting here, perfect time for a bye week, and just watch the rest of, Rome burn around you. It's a beautiful thing just to sit here and not have to worry about it.
Well, it is interesting because they were such darlings, even in last year's playoffs, and that the momentum started there, where this Rams team was like, they snuck in regular season finale. We know the story. John Wolford beats Chris Streveler in the CFL AAF quarterback bowl. But then, okay, this is a team that just needs a quarterback. And they go out and they get a quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And it's easy connecting the dots. The national media is like, well, Stafford, he's been stuck in futility as far as below mediocrity in Detroit. If he just gets any kind of team around him and good coaching, he's going to take off. And he had some success with the Rams early on, but everything since then it's either been a bad loss or it's kind of fraudulent. Like you mentioned the losses, like the wins that they've had: Texans, Lions, Giants, Seahawks. Those are all bottom barrel teams. So, you can, and look at the wins that they just have. The only they have 2 good wins this season. One against the Colts, and the Colts early on were crap. They've since rebounded. They had a tough loss on Sunday against the Buccaneers. And then probably the only legitimate win is that game against the Bucs.
Feels good. Feels
it
like,
does.
The interesting part about this is what started all of that. The Cardinals going on the road to SoFi and beating them. Like that's kind of where it put the doubt into the thought of everybody on that Rams team. Like, oh, wait, it's adapt or die or whatever it is. Adapt or die, isn't that what it is? They trade for Von Miller. That hasn't worked. OBJ had a long touchdown catch today. I kind of root for him now in a weird way. It doesn't really matter, but he's the least loathsome part of this team that is the Rams, which is hard to do. I mean, I guess you could put Cooper Kupp in there also. But the only team that's not really in flux, the only team that hadn't had their starting quarterback in the last 3 weeks and went 2-1 is the Cardinals. The Seahawks couldn't do that. They don't have the defense for it. And when you see the Cardinals going into Soldier Field in Week 13 with a firm 1-game hold without a tiebreaker because the Packers beat them, they have a chance to go to 10-2 through Week 13 and have as close to a stranglehold on a conference as you can through 12 weeks, especially with a team that hasn't won this many games in a long time.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible, and it's a good point. And I want to continue to pile on the Rams, but there's bigger news to kind of tackle here on the Locked On Cardinals podcast about their head coach Kliff Kingsbury, news that kind of came out of nowhere on Sunday. But it's gonna the Rams are gonna have and Sean McVay he's gonna have a hell of a time on the fly getting all those pieces that they've acquired throughout the season, meshing them with because it's still not, when you acquire guys in the offseason, their first season, it's still a tough task in getting them acclimated and really set for a deep run in the postseason. They've got the Jags next. I mean, lucky them. I mean, if it weren't a bye week, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Rams can get back on track with a game against Jacksonville, but still, and then they have to turn right around, and it's Monday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals. What would be great with that game is they can really expose them to be not one of the premier teams in the NFC that people have thought they've been all season long. Even with a couple tough losses, people thought, okay, they'll shake it off. That wasn't the case. I mean, they went up against, when you talk about two different losses, the tale of two different losses, the Arizona Cardinals were knocking on the door. They'd faced about as much adversity as they've faced all season long at home against the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football, and they're one play away from winning that game where, that game was in hand yesterday against the LA Rams between the Green Bay Packers. I mean, they just absolutely abused them. A few plays, Van Jefferson, big touchdown play, as you mentioned, OBJ, a big touchdown. But other than that, it was all Packers all day, and it's going to be, is it 3 teams in the NFC now that we really have to take into consideration for that top spot? The Bucks with a big win. They're 8-3, right? And then you've got the Green Bay Packers, who have the tiebreaker, as you mentioned, in the Arizona Cardinals, though, at 9-2, staring down 10-2 potentially as they get back to work this week after their bye week. The Chicago Bears will be Andy Dalton, will be Justin Fields. We'll certainly explore that conversation later this week. But the big news that came down on Sunday in the college football world that has the Arizona Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury involved. Let's get into it. But first, I got to tell you about Directv Stream. It's how you can get your TV together in one place. It's where you can take all your on-demand favorites and your live TV and merge them together like never before. You can watch your favorite sports, you can watch your movies, you can watch your on-demand favorite TV shows, stream them all at the same time seamlessly. And the best part, there's no annual contract. You don't have to, sign your life away and get locked into a contract for more than 1 year. You can just get your TV together easily with DirecTV Stream. To learn more, go to directv.com. That's directv.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, whether you're watching on YouTube, you're firing us up on your podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Big thank you from Alex and myself. Hope you had a great, restful holiday. This is like that gray area where I really, if it wasn't NFL Sunday, I wouldn't have known what day it is. But finally back on track, and then we'll get back into the malaise in just a couple of weeks here when you get that Christmas, New Year's, just gray area where you just have no idea if you have to put pants on, go to work that day. Follow on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Bob Brack, at Clancy's Corner. So we saw the shocking news. I was surprised to see that USC was able to land a head coach the caliber of Lincoln Riley. But apparently all the rumors were true. Where there was smoke, there was fire, that he was not happy and content in Norman at Oklahoma, despite all of the success, and he wanted to move on. So he goes and he reportedly signs as the next head coach of Southern California. And with that, a ton of speculation now that there's a coaching vacancy at one of the big-time college football programs in Oklahoma. And the first name really to pop up, according to Adam Schefter, Oklahoma is targeting Arizona Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury, Alex.
Take him. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the thing. It depends on what Kliff wants. Do you want to get paid $10 million a year and have more control? He has no, even during his introductory press conference, it was like, oh, Steve Keim can answer that. Steve Keim can answer that. He came here to run an offense and to lead a team. He's gotten a lot better in the ladder over the last year and a half that we've seen. He's really grown into his own as an NFL head coach. The only reason I tweeted out that people have to think about the possibility is nobody thought Kliff Kingsbury was ever going to be a head coach in the NFL. So what makes you think that if he gets offered double to go back to Oklahoma, say they offer him 7 years and $70 million, tell me that's going to be easy to turn down. It's not a opening cut case, Johnson. It's not. It's not. So that part just makes you think about it. Do I think he's going to go? No. Do I think it's a leverage play for his agent? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that if they offer him Mel Tucker money, that it's just going to be, oh, you know what? Let's keep it together, boys. I could get fired in 2 years because the NFL is so fickle. You'd have so much more job security in Oklahoma and less parity. That's why I say just keep it in mind. Even if they go to, even though they're in the SEC, I don't think it's as easy as just saying no.
Look, it was, I mean, talk about, you said job security. I don't know if there's that much job security if you're not, winning the Big 12 every single season, which is a little bit easier than, say, winning the SEC. But you have to be in the college football playoff every year, and you have to compete for a national championship. And that's, as far as that's concerned, that's tough. Job security is not there. But as far as the payday, that's the only thing that's going to be different. The good thing is, and Eric Burkhart is his agent. It's the same agent that Kyler Murray has. Kyler Murray and Kliff Kingsbury share an agent. This is something that we've seen for a long time. Nick Saban's done it year in and year out. Jim Harbaugh, guys, Chip Kelly did it for a while before, they figured him out. It was guys that were at the college level that were successful, that could leverage and create more leverage for themselves to get more money. And this is one of those jobs that, college can come calling to a guy even at the NFL level, Oklahoma, to where Eric Burkhart can go to the Arizona Cardinals and Steve Keim and say, hey, Kliff has got 1 year on his deal. He doesn't want to be a lame duck coach going into next season. And let's show him a little appreciation. And because otherwise it's easy to say yes to Oklahoma, 7 years, $70 million, whatever it may be. That was just kind of out of thin air, looking at a couple of the extensions that came out at college football level with James Franklin and Mel Tucker. But I think it's an easier no to Oklahoma than you outlined. I mean, where Kliff Kingsbury, if he's smart, where he thrives is coaching at the NFL level. Like, he would have to go back to the Big 12 where defenses really don't play
SEC.
a part. He'd have to take control more of the game like he did at Texas Tech, where he was very unsuccessful. I mean, he had some of the worst defenses in the league. And sure, the talent pool is going to be ridiculous. That becomes a little bit easier as far as that's concerned. Instead of recruiting Lubbock, you're recruiting Norman. But do you want to live in Norman over, where does he live? Paradise Valley? Who wins that one? I think PV easily is the answer there. I mean, we've seen his big bachelor pad, which is unbelievable. They don't make houses like that in Norman. So I just think that this is a leverage play for Kliff and his agent, and I think that you believe that as well. Would we be completely shocked? No, because this is one of the few jobs, but I still don't think, even the best college jobs are better than some of the, lower tier NFL jobs. And this is not. You've got Kyler Murray pretty much as your right-handed man, your franchise quarterback, as long as you want.
Yeah. The thing is, he has everything going against him with his success being sustained. Because normally, as you mentioned, Chip Kelly, Urban Meyer's having a terrible time. You have guys that come out from college that have a couple good years and then they fall flat. This is something, and that's true. That's just the history of the game. That's not a direct attack at Kliff Kingsbury. He's been great. They're 9-2. They're 17-10 over their last whatever games, 27 games. I get it. He's getting better. But Bo, Chip Kelly won 10 games 3 years in a row and then fell flat. You know, like he also traded away his entire team. And I understand the link with Kyler. And I know that's what's going to keep him here. This is not me saying that he's going to take the job. This is me saying, nope, open and shut case. No way this is going to happen. You're dumb. That's not, you got to think more rationally than that. Just because you think something and that it ends up happening doesn't mean there weren't a lot of tributaries that got you there to that main river again. And when you're looking at this right now, he'd make half the money, but he is staying here, and he could get fired in 2 years and not have that Oklahoma opportunity. Like, the job security, I think, is a lot more strong if you were to go to Oklahoma. It's a lot more strong. So. Dude,
the fan bases are more unrealistic.
At the end of last year.
Fan bases are way more unrealistic. Like, it's
a lot more money, though.
Zero-sum game. It's not that much more. I mean, what we see, like Bill Belichick is making upwards of $18 million a year.
Okay,
like
he's won 6 Super Bowls.
It's evening out.
So
it's evening out. But also the responsibilities are way more at the college level. I think for what Kliff Kingsbury wants to be, the head coach, to be this player's coach, to be this play caller. I think it just the NFL just suits him way. It's a lot stronger fit for him than him going and being the man and trying to be Bob Stoops, or even, he's going to have to be the successor to Lincoln Riley, who had a ton of success there, couldn't get the job done. When did they become restless in Oklahoma? Because they've been the bridesmaids so often. Because
they sat Spencer Rattler, which blows my mind. They just say, you know what, through the first 3 games, why would you sit him? I was thinking about that this week. It's like, okay, the dude just made $500,000 in the summer. Let him warm back up to the game, and you could still go win a championship. Like, I don't understand this Caleb Williams thing. Oh, stop it.
Oh,
he had 2 bad games.
Stop it. He's not good. He is not good.
Stop it. Just like your takes. You're the Spencer Rattler of this podcast.
I can't believe you like Spencer Rattler and you think that
I like him better than Caleb Williams.
They both aren't that good. I mean, come on. Spencer Rattler over here. We're talking about, would you rather coach Spencer Rattler in would he be a junior or senior next year, or Kyler Murray in his 4th season when he's about to secure the bag? I think I'd go
if
for Kyler
they
Murray.
Make the playoffs and don't. So they say they make the playoffs and lose in the first round, and they go 7-9, or if they go 9-8 next year, he could be on it. Like, I don't understand why people think he's just going to have a job forever because they started 9-2 once. If they don't win a playoff game, this is all for naught. And then you kind of start like, well, is Kliff the guy? Like, immediately. So again, I don't think that he should take the job. Okay, stay out of my mentions. I don't think he should take the job. But it wouldn't be the worst business decision in the world. Business decision.
It'd be
to take $70 million from Oklahoma.
Because as far as sustainability, longevity, his is at the NFL level. He was 35
based
on
40. What?
35 and 40, and there's more unrealistic expectations at the college level. LSU just fired Coach O after 2 seasons removed from a national championship.
Yeah, because they were terrible every year besides that one.
They had everybody leave.
It's the Kyle Shanahan effect.
They had everybody leave. I mean, Dan Mullen had his team in the SEC championship.
That was a terrible hire.
Fired. Yeah. What was terrible about it?
He wasn't a good coach.
Because these fan bases think that they need to be competing for championships to be successful. And I don't think that's fair at all. And, we know Kliff Kingsbury, that you have to be patient with him. And the Cardinals have been patient. And the Arizona Cardinals have been, the patience is paying off in spades this year. It's been unbelievable. I mean, with their GM and their head coach, I mean, that is a true just lesson in patience to not only the NFL world, but the sports world. Like, people in college football just need to take note that you're not a finished product after 2 years. And if he's 42 years old, if most people out there said, hey, I peaked at my job at 42, like, there'd be a lot of people bad at their profession. I mean, there's a lot more to learn. And obviously Kliff Kingsbury's learned, and he's also in a better spot. Let's continue this conversation here on the other.
He hasn't had a carb since 1996.
He hasn't. Where are you going to go show that off in Norman?
Not singing a cappella in a car with your family. That's for sure.
Oh, man. Speaking of low carbs, Alex.
Yeah, I got it. Well, Built Bar, I'll tell you what. Today only, it's the best Monday of the year. It's Cyber Monday. And Built.com is the best place to aim your mouse. Get at least 20% off everything delicious and healthy. That's 20% off site-wide and even bigger discounts on Built Boost, Broth, and Built Swag. Brand new Built Bar flavors just landed. Time for Cyber Monday. Caramel Almond Delight. Bo, that was Bo's nickname in high school. It wasn't. And it delivers everything it promises. Caramelized chocolate, check. Almonds, check. Delightful double chocolate, check. Be sure to get yours before they're gone. 150 calories, 17 grams of protein. That checks both boxes there. And this season, maybe you're craving white chocolate. I love white chocolate. For a limited time, get a special new Built Bar Puffs flavor white chocolate cheesecake. The yummy protein treat filled with marshmallowy center, covered in white chocolate, 140 calories. Again, 17 grams of sugar. 'Tis the season to save and to give your taste buds a gift to Built Bar. Go to Built.com for these incredible tasting new bars and 20% off everything. Head to Built.com, enter promo code LOCK20 before it's too late. Remember, for today, Monday, November 29th only. Bo?
Caramel Almond Delight. It tastes like a caramel apple, but it's a protein bar. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they do it. They just go into the lab and they just create fantastic tasting protein bars that don't cut any corners nutrition-wise. Another great place to be on Cyber Monday, betonline.ag. We got a Monday Night Football game that needs you getting action on it. BetOnline's your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head over to the new updated desktop mobile website. Sign up today. Receive your 50% welcome bonus. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON. You put in $100, you get $50 free to play around with. Build your stack. Put in $50, get $25. It's not just football. It's BetOnline that has all pro college basketball. You've got NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest, easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, they're stuffed with deals this holiday season.
Stuffed.
That's right. Oh man, everybody do you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Just a couple family members sitting around, a little scotch, a little turkey. It was fantastic. You can't really beat it. And just a cavalcade of terrible games.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess the Raiders game wasn't terrible. That was good for the Cardinals. I mean, the Raiders made the Cowboys look like a college team in the first half of that game. Raiders defense isn't good. The Raiders offense isn't good. They're average to, maybe offense a little above average, defense a little below average. Looked like Dak Prescott didn't want to play football. I called that one because I saw Josh Allen go into Jerry World 2 years ago on Thanksgiving and beat up on the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 1-3 in their last 4, as are the Rams. The Cardinals are trending the other way with the backup quarterback 2 of the last 3 weeks. That made my Thanksgiving. It's like, you know what? The Cowboys lose. Not only it acts, every loss they have down the stretch acts as 2 because they have so much pressure on them for no reason outside of the TV deal whatsoever.
Yeah.
They haven't been relevant in 20 years, aside from 2 playoff appearances, 1, 2. I don't know.
It's been tough sledding for them. What
about you, Bo?
As far as the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I hit the over on that 50.5. And that was easy peasy, especially they went to overtime. I don't know why I said it that way, but it was it was a nice most of my little family was, all of us were sick, so we were all together, and that was what it's all about, just watching some poor football. And then it was, let's just wrap up the Kliff talk, because I got a couple interesting nuggets from Ian Rappaport and Josh Weinfuss last week about the availability of Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins. I think it is what it is. Absolutely. Would anybody be shocked in this day and age, especially with the rise from Kliff Kingsbury from failed college coach to NFL head coach? Because I don't think anybody saw that coming. And then now you see this one. I don't know if he necessarily wants to be in the shadow or deserves to be in the shadow of Lincoln Riley. I mean, I know going into this season, people would have said that Lincoln Riley is the better head coach, but why would Kliff Kingsbury want to go take the job that he left? And Lincoln didn't leave for the NFL either. He left for USC, which it was an interesting move too. I don't know if maybe he was looking for a less pressure-filled job. Like, why did Lincoln want to leave Oklahoma? And I got to imagine both of them played at Texas Tech, right? Didn't Lincoln play at Texas Tech? And they've got to have some sort of relationship. Kliff just says, what's the deal? Why would he want to go and pick up where Lincoln Riley left off? Just don't think I don't know.
Yeah, no, and I don't think he's going to either. I'm teaching people how to see both sides here. Think about both sides. Just because you think
you're so open-minded
doesn't mean you're always right. I'm just making an argument for the other side. Yeah. I think he should stay. I think the Cardinals should pay him. And you know what? They're going to go down with the ship. Everybody's going down with the ship if Kliff goes down. So, that's they've hitched their wagon to Kliff and Kyler and Steve Keim, and this is where we're at. And
let's play a fun game real quick.
Okay.
Is because you're devil's advocate, Alex, and you see the other side. You're just asking the questions that people are afraid to ask. If Kliff Kingsbury left, where did the Arizona Cardinals look for their next head coach? Is that Steve Keim calling you on line one? Is that what that ring was?
Breaker. It's nice doing this in my mom's house. Really no privacy. Should we just let it ring? See how long? How many rings? How many rings? Let's see. Who would they hire? The interesting thing. The interesting one. It would be Vance Joseph. I mean, it's like at that point, it's like why not? Why not keep it in house? Bring an offensive coordinator. Like the interesting part is it would be somewhat seamless. Aside from the fact you're losing, that's called a house phone, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you knew about that. It would be Vance Joseph.
Yeah,
and then they would hire an offensive guru, like, an offensive-minded guy to come in and run the offense. But no, I don't think it's going to happen. Thank you for asking that question because it made me look somewhat sane during this whole debate.
Well, I mean, if we're going to have a conversation about him potentially taking the job, there's going to be a large void left the Arizona Cardinals. But both of us believe it's a leverage play by his agent, Eric Burkhart, as he should. Anytime you can create leverage, do it. Do it, especially with how things started for Kliff Kingsbury and where they are right now. Cash in, do it. And people don't need to be concerned about Michael Bidwell and what he's paying. He's going to be okay. It's not your money. If he's going to give Kliff Kingsbury a raise, do it. And if that's what it's going to take, do it. I sound like Ben Stiller and Starsky and Hutch. Do it.
Do it.
Josh Weinfush, I talked to him last week, and he said he threw this number on DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray returning this week against the Bears, 100%. Said it's 100% chance. There's no chance that they're not returning this week. I was kind of surprised by that.
Well, that means that they might have been able to play last week, or that means that they needed that extra little breather. I mean, it'll be 38 days between games for Kyler. That's a lot of games. And the same with DeAndre Hopkins. 38 games, 38 days. That's a month and a week. I mean, that is a long time. So I think listen, it worked out. Colt went 2-1. Like everything worked out. Everybody's losing where they're supposed to be losing. It's just everything's worked serendipitously at this point.
Well, I also thought it was not only did Colt go 2-1, but he was able to weather the storm and kind of get back the trust that he had gained after one game as the backup starting quarterback that he lost in the next week against the Carolina Panthers, who lost the game, by the way, this weekend. Colt McCoy was able to regain the trust of the fan base that he can go out there and win games for this team if they don't have Kyler Murray. Pretty interesting. We're going to start to preview this game up against the Chicago Bears on the road, Soldier Field. We'll start to see, what it's going to look like with getting Kyler Murray back into the offense, getting reacclimated, and kind of knocking the rust off after Alex said 38 days since the last time he suited up for the Arizona Cardinals, and DeAndre Hopkins getting back into it. It's going to be fun. We're starting to talk actual games again after a week off. Thanks for joining us here as we return. Make sure you're following on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Clancy's Corner, and at Bob Brack. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Alex, anything before we get out of here?
Let's get weird this week. Cardinals can move to 10-2. Watching as the dominoes fall elsewhere. We've said this since week one, and it hasn't stopped. Balls need to bounce the right way for teams to make magical runs, regardless of how good they are. And it's happened almost in a vacuum. Aside from Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins already obviously getting hurt and AJ Green not turning around, like it's been a pretty magical year so far through 12 weeks.
It has.
You know?
Yep.
And not only with what the Cardinals could control, but what they can't control also. Teams losing, teams not being as strong as their records would indicate early on. Like, this is special. Enjoy this. Thank you to everybody who's along for the ride. Like, I was thinking earlier when we weren't doing a podcast, I'm like, man, this has been wild.
Yeah. Yep. And if you're out there on the Bird on Twitter and you got some angry Oklahoma fans that don't understand why Kliff just quit his cushy NFL job for your college, just don't worry about them. They're angry right now. So don't worry about them. We'll be talking some more Kliff, I'm sure, tomorrow, some more Kyler, and of course, starting to shift towards the Chicago Bears tomorrow, Tuesday's edition of Locked On Cardinals. Have a great rest of your Monday.